Welcome back to the Nurtured Noire Podcast, y'all. I'm so glad that you are here. And if you are new here, I'm Nanji, your host, and this podcast is a space where we talk about motherhood, womanhood, and of course, being Black, and how we nurture ourselves through it all. This is our first full episode of season 2. Make some noise. We are back, y'all. I know it's been such a long time since your girl has been back, but I'm so glad that we are in full swing for season 2. And I wanted to start off this season with something that has been on my, and that is the story we've been told about what it means to be a good mom. And honestly, I think that it's time we finally challenge that. So let's start from the beginning. Y'all know the story. A good mom sacrifices her sleep. Her whole personality is being a mom. She gives her everything to being a mom. Now, granted, I have 3 kids and I love them dearly, but that is not my whole personality. And honestly, it's not biblical to give your all to being a mother. To be honest, I fell in that trap too. I give my time, my energy, my dreams, my hope, my all to my kids, when honestly that goes to God first. And doing all of those things, giving my all to my kid, just left me empty, just full of exhaustion, resentment, everything that is not part of the fruits of the Spirit. And what's even sad is that we are praised for such sacrifice. And last time I checked, we are not superwoman. Like, we don't have a cape on. And quite frankly, we need to take that cape off. I remember having a conversation with my mom when I was going through motherhood with my first daughter. And I was explaining to her, it's like, oh my gosh, Mom, like I'm so tired, like X, Y, and Z. Just explaining to her the days in and out of what I was going through. And she was like, well, that's just what it is. And in that moment, I accepted it. I was like, you know what? She's right. There's nothing else that I can do about it. You know, this baby, this precious blessing from God is depending on me to do literally everything. And as I've gotten older, and as she has gotten older and more kids came into the picture, her wonderful 2 siblings, I really started to realize, like, wait a minute, that's not okay. I shouldn't be pushing my needs aside to fulfill my ministry as a mom. I shouldn't have to ask my husband, hey, can you just watch the kids for a second while I take a shower? Like, that's not okay. But that was the trap that I fell into, that I constantly pushed my needs aside. I put that expectation on myself that I needed to give my all to my children and nothing else for myself, for my husband, but most importantly for God. But I started asking myself, but does being a mom mean I'm no longer me? I had a moment with my therapist a few years ago that I had to mourn the woman that I wanted to become, that I had to put aside because I had very young children and I didn't accept the woman that I was becoming. And that took some time to get used to because I had a vision for what motherhood was, who I was going to be as a mother, and reality just hit me like a Mack truck, y'all. It was not it. It was not what I expected at all. And looking back on it, I thank God that wasn't the case. Because what I noticed is that when I disappeared into sacrifice, I wasn't showing up as my best self. My patience level was 0. I was always angry. I was always irritated. I was depressed. My anxiety was through the roof. I just wasn't myself. And that's not what God has called me to be. I wasn't the best for myself, for my kids, for my husband, or just being a child of God. Like, just keeping it 100. And maybe you have felt that way too. That doesn't mean that you can't be more intentional and change that now. I really had to learn that motherhood is not the end of who I am. It's just an expansion. Like I said, I love my kids so much. I love being a mother. I love this ministry that God has called me to. But that's just not who I am, or the totality of who I am as a person. I'm Nancy first. I'm the daughter of Jesus Christ first. Then I'm Mrs. Alexander. Then I'm mommy. Then I'm student, content creator, podcaster, and sister, cousin, friend. There's so many parts of me that God is still, birthing in me. But that doesn't mean that I have to throw all those things away to solely focusing on being mom. And neither should you. For me, reclaiming my identity look like putting on makeup, even if I'm at home, or dressing up in really cute loungewear, or telling my husband, hey, I'm gonna be at the mall for like an hour or two, just gallivanting throughout the streets, getting myself a nice iced matcha. Just little things like that to show that I am just more than wiping butts and, giving baths. You know what I mean? Like, I have a personality. I have hobbies like doing content, doing this podcast, and talking to y'all and having that community outside of my wonderful children. These weren't shallow things. They were reminders that I matter too. And I'm not being selfish either. And what's wild is that the more that I leaned into that, the more present I actually became with my kids. Because I am pouring into myself. I am walking into the purpose that God has set out for me outside of being a mother. And that's because I wasn't running on empty. I was giving from a place of complete fullness. Because when you are walking in the purpose that God has set for you, when you are doing the things that you truly enjoy, you're filled, and now you are working in the overflow. So, let me say this. You're not selfish for taking care of yourself. Let's throw that out. Okay? That is no longer a thing that you are claiming over yourself. You are not less of a mom because you want to take 5 minutes to eat some fries in your pantry. You are a woman who deserves to be whole. So, here's the truth. Motherhood reveals parts of us we never knew we had. My kids have taught me strength, creativity, patience, and resilience. But if we only focus on the sacrifice, we miss the beauty of that expansion. Instead of asking ourselves, what do I need to give up to be a good mom? What if we asked, what can motherhood grow in me? And honestly, my husband had to teach me that. Because I had a really rough time in my motherhood journey. I love my kids, I love being a mom, but I disliked motherhood. The day-to-day, the mundane things, picking up, cleaning, wiping poop, here's throw up here, here's diarrhea here, I'm getting pooped on. All of those things I truly disliked. And it really made me resent motherhood, not my children, because I knew that they are blessings from God. And they were made in love. But man, I was tired of the four walls looking at me and hearing crying Mickey Mouse and Bluey all day. So my husband really had to show me through the guidance of the Holy Spirit about how beautiful motherhood actually is, and would I become the woman that I am today if I didn't go through what I have went through. And honestly, I'm not sure I want to know the answer. For some of us, courage is what motherhood can give you. For others, it's purpose. For me, it's grace. Grace for myself, grace for my kids, grace for the mess that motherhood is. And I believe that when we shift the narrative, we shift the story from sacrifice to expansion, we not only feel lighter, but we model for our kids what it looks like to be whole, to be filled with God's joy, and unapologetically ourselves. So here's my gentle challenge for you this week. Choose one small thing that reminds you of who you are outside of motherhood, and do it without guilt. It could be putting on some makeup, taking 20 minutes to journal, getting your nails done, going to that salon or that coffee shop that you've always wanted to try, or even reading a book that's not about parenting. Let that moment remind you that I'm still here and I matter. Because without you, sis, there is no them, and they cannot do it without you. You are the glue. Motherhood isn't just what you pour out. It's about what grows within you. And you are more than just the sacrifices you make. So, if this resonated with you, please share this episode with a mom or soon-to-be mom who desperately needs to hear this. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any more of my episodes of the Nurtured Noire Podcast. Because for next week's episode, we're going to be diving into faith over frustration and how to lean into God when life feels overwhelming. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Remember, you are nurtured, you are whole, and you are not alone.